Students, welcome to my class. It's me, Rakesh Kumar Jha. I welcome all of you at Unacademy platform. Let's crack UPSC CSE exam with us. It is India's largest learning platform. And what I can say that we do have daily live classes. We have also structured courses. We have also live tests and quizzes, unlimited access. Okay. For all these things, what we have to do, we have to just download our app, that is Unacademy learning app. Through this app you can learn a lot of things. And it's me, Rakesh Kumar Jha. I am an MA in political science from Ramjas College, Delhi University, PG diploma in journalism. These are the things that you can have. And definitely participate in different talk shows as an expert on All India Radio, Akashvani, New Delhi, Lok Sabha TV, Raj Sabha TV. I have also participated as a speaker in a number of national and international seminars. I have also received certificates and appreciations by the reputed organizations. I have successfully guided a large number of students, some of them IAS officer and police officer as well. My telegram link is Rakesh Jha Discourse Academy. Unacademy profile link is Rakesh 7 Jha 8443. My philosophy is be your online. So that's the philosophy, that's the thing of myself. And we have more than top 100 educator with us. It is Unacademy platform. Comprehensive syllabus is there: polity, governance, IR, geography, science, technology, NCERT summary, history, optional courses, environment, ecology, art and culture, current affairs that I will be taking, Indian economy, practice strategy there, and answer writing there. Everything is out there so that you can do the practice from Unacademy platform. Okay, dear students, right. So UPSC CSE subscription for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months is also there. And plus course is there, iconic course is there. Definitely for 12 months you can have that much amount, and for 24 months. RJ01 is code. If you apply RJ01, you will have 10% discount for getting all kinds of the things. And so we have also live classes, test series, unlimited practice, a structured schedule, personal course, daily mains and practice, study planner, personalized feedback. So please apply RJ01 code so that you can have 10% discount. Okay, dear students, right. So I am also taking political science and international relation. It is dedicated subject, and it is also very good optional paper. Through this optional paper you can have a good knowledge, and you can have a good command on GS and other essay paper also. So duration of up from 1 month up to 36 months. Beside that, also like learn more about plus. And I am also taking live classes on Unacademy, that is for current affairs. Right now I am going to discuss about political theory and Indian politics. What is the political theory, what is thinkers. I myself, Rakesh Kumar Jha, a civil services coach, author and motivational speaker. So table of content is there. What is table of content? Is the UPSC syllabus, the latest UPSC syllabus. And right now I am going to discuss about a lot of things. Okay, let's see. And political theory is there. So this time I am going to discuss about rights, meaning, theories, different kinds of rights, concepts of human rights. These all are the things that I am going to discuss. And so because I am telling all of you that in the political science, when you read these topics, it is very important, because what are the theories, what are the different kinds of right, and the concepts of human rights are also very equally important. Because in a political science, what you have to read, that what is happening in the society and what exactly you are thinking about the nation state is also very important. Different parts of the subjects are also very important, because you cannot escape any topic untouched. Every topic is very important, and every topic is important in a sense that nothing can be escapable. Everything, the integral part of the syllabus, and particularly UPSC syllabus, that you have to know. So what I have to say, dear student, that please try to understand all the nitty-gritty. Right now I am going to discuss about current affairs topics, and besides the current affairs topic, that are also related to the theories. Okay, let's start the thing. The first thing, the right. What is the right? It is, if you heard about the right and like the equality, justice, so these are the basic component of the state of the society. Without the right, nothing can be exist in any form and all. So the point is that a right is described as an entitlement of justified claim to a certain kind of positive and negative treatment from others, to support from others or non-interference from others. In other words, right is something which every individual in the community is morally permitted, and for which that community is entitled this respect or compulsory move anything that stands the way of even a single individual getting. Point is that it is an entitlement, it is the right that everyone claims. Suppose in a positive or negative treatment for the others. Suppose you have your own property, so you have the legal right to protect it. If any other person encroaches it or damages it, then you have every right to lodge an FIR, lodge a complaint, and it would be thoroughly checked. And if anything occurs, then definitely you have to understand all these nitty gritty in a perfect and rightful manner. So, what I have to say, dear student, that please try to make that what is right. Even in the day-to-day life, when you talk about the right, what does it depict? Depicts that it depicts what? Depicts a very simple thing that okay, this is right. You have to follow the right path as it is reflected, in the terms of what is right. Right is always right, wrong is always wrong. So the point is that any individual, any society must prevail the right cause of action, right theories, right thinking, because if you prevails all these things, and definitely it will help all points, it will also help all kinds of things. This is what you have to understand. So the right belongs to individual, and no organization has any rights not directly derived from those of its members as individuals. And just as an individual's right cannot extend where they will intrude on another individual rights, similarly the rights of any organization, whatever, must yield to those of a single individual, whether inside or outside the organization. I can assure you that if you understand the rights, then definitely you would be in the better position to understand all these things in a very nitty-gritty way. Whenever you study any topic, maybe rights, maybe equality, maybe freedom, all topics are very important. Why? Because it gives individuals have a guarantee, it gives individual to have the particular thing just for the sake of development, just the sake of society to be in a proper way, because until unless the society is not in a perfect direction, then nothing can be achieved. Right is the very important fundamentals of the society. Without the particular right, society cannot exist. So rights, this sort of advantage, this sort of atmosphere must be given to the society, must be given to the every individual. Only that the society can exist, only that any individual can exist. Without the rights, nothing can exist in a proper way. And it has been a long tradition since, because for the rights, Bill of Rights there, then the American Revolution there, French Revolution there, Russian Revolution there, and the British Revolution, the Golden Revolutions there, and a lot of revolutions have been fought. But for right, justice, liberty. So the any society or any individual is only running after the right thing. But that then who will protect the right of the individual, of the society? It is the duty of the state that they have to be respected. The people of a grieved society must be respected. That is why if the certain rules, and that is why a lot of rules have been made. Why the rules are, can you think that why the rules have been made? The rules have been made primarily just for the sake of whom? Just for the sake of the people, just for the sake of the society, so that this can be attributed, this can be maintained. And I hope that if the rights are there, if the individuals are there, if the individuals protections are there, only anything can be happen. So let's say that everything is possible, anything is possible, if good environment is being given to an individual or to the society. Let's understand all these things, and I can assure you that if you understand all these nitty gritty, If you understand all these points, then definitely you would have a better position. Now, point is that the right belongs to individuals. Very true. As it is said, the right, uh, belongs to individual, and no organization has any rights not directly derived from those of its members as individuals. Just as an individual's rights cannot extend where they will intrude on another individual's rights. Similarly, the rights of any organization, whatever, must yield to those of a single individual, whether inside or outside the organization. This is the thing that you have to also understand, and I hope that if you understand these things, it will definitely help you. Next, rights are those important conditions of the social life without which no person can generally realize his best self. These are the essential conditions for health of both the individual and in his society. It is only when people get and enjoy rights that they can develop their personalities and contribute their best services to the society. It is very true that it is the rights only, through rights only it is the conditions of the social life without no person can generally realize his best self. Suppose I am realizing myself as an educator, so definitely the rights have been given to me. I had every right as equal to the others. So definitely these are the essential conditions for health of the both individuals and in society. It is also only when people get enjoy rights that they can develop their personalities and contribute their best services to the society. These are the things that you have to understand. So I can make you sure that if you understand all these things, then definitely this will happen and everything would be possible. Okay. Now in simple words, rights are common claims of people which every culture society recognize as essential claims for their development and which are therefore enforced by the state. According to the Lasky, rights are those conditions of social life without which no one, no man can seek in general to be himself at his best. Lasky, grammar. Lasky is he was a very, great champions of the liberal. But so Harold Lasky written a book, Grammar of Politics. So what he said that the rights are those conditions of social life without which no man can seek in general to be himself at his best. T.S. Green also explained that rights are the powers necessarily for the fulfillment of man's vocation as a moral being. So these are the things that you have to also write. One thing, dear student, you have to take care all the time while you deal with all sort of things. You have to remember the philosopher's name, the thinker's name, so that you can explain what Harold Lasky says, what T.H. Green explained. T.H. Green explained rights are powers necessary for the fulfillment of man's vocation as a moral being. Beni Prasad stated that rights are nothing more or less than those social conditions which are necessary or favorable to the development of personality. So if you understand all these things, you will have a better understanding on all these points. Okay. Next, main features of rights. What is the main features of right? You have to also understand. First one is that rights exist only in society. These are the products of social living. Rights are claim of the individuals for their development in society. Rights are recognized by the society as a common claims of all the people. Rights are rational and moral claims that the people make on their society. Since rights are here only in society, this cannot be exercised against the society. These are the beautiful points that you have to understand, that how rights are important and how this is very important. This is means that main feature of the rights are that the rights cannot exist in in some space and all. Right exist in the society. These are the products of the social living. What does it mean? That these are the products of the social living. Without right, society cannot exist. Besides, rights also claim the individuals of their development in the society. Also very true, or it is also recognized by the common claims of all the people. Suppose you are doing anything, it means what? That it has been also respected by the society. For an example, if you are walking on the road, everyone goes by left hand side. What does it mean? That everyone respects that, okay, we have to go on the left. But you have to take if the side, then you have to over side and all the overtake from the right side. It has been the trend. So either your property or anything is there, every sort of things are codified. So that codification brings a kinds of sense, kinds of uh, rightful sense among the citizen of the country or the society. So political science teaches you, political science gives you a kind of things that you have to also study, that everything is at its own space, but it should be in the proper direction. Rights are recognized by the society as a common claims of the people. Everyone, because the rights cannot be said that you could have given some rights, other could not have. It is not like, because everyone has its rights, everyone has its claim. So keeping that thing is very important. Rights are also rational moral claims that the people make on their society. Since rights are here only in society, this cannot be exercised against the society. So these are the main features of the rights that you have to also understand. Now I have to make you understand that, okay, let's say rights are to be exercised by the people for their development, which really means their development in the society by the promotion of social good. Rights can never be exercised against the social good. It is also very important. Rights are equally available to all the people. Contents of rights keep on changing with the passage of time. Rights are not absolute. They always bear limitations deemed essential for maintaining public health, security, order, and morality. Rights are inseparably related with the duties. There is a close relationship between them. No duties, no rights. No rights, no duties. If I have rights, it is my duty to respect the rights of others in the society. So it is in the very larger context. You have to understand that if I have the rights, it is also my duty to respect the others' rights in the society. It has been the trend in the society that you have to follow. I hope that if you understand all these things, definitely you would have a better position in understanding all sort of things. Because what I feel that if you understand, and I hope that this is the thing that you have to understand. Suppose no duties, no rights, no rights, no duties. It means what? That if you have a right, that is why it is also written in our constitution that the fundamental rights and fundamental duties. So first you have given the fundamental rights. These are the specific fundamental rights the constitution provides you, state guarantees you, but at the same time you do have certain duties. Duties means you have the moral duties to respect the nations, respect the culture, to respect the environment. A lot of things are there. So without right, no duties can be claimed, and without duties, no rights can be claimed. These are very important aspects. These are the important things to know. And I think that rights are not absolute. One thing also you have to understand that your rights are relative. What C.S. Mill write in his book on liberty. On liberty, he says that rights are relative, and definitely it is a relative. Suppose you are traveling in a bus or in a train, your seat is reserved. So your seat is reserved. You can have only occupy that particular space only for you and only for a certain time, and you cannot encroach the other seats. This is your right. But the moment you start encroaching others, then definitely it is going to be the infringement of the rights. So if it is going to be infringement of the rights, then what happens? That fellow guy will raise the question. Same thing, if your property belongs to you, okay, you can enjoy your property, but at the same time, if you are allowed to do, or if you, according to US, if you encroach other property, then what would happen? The concerned party will go to the station, police station, and he will lodge a case against you. Then what will happen? And definitely you will be punished for. This is what the rights. I mean to say that you do have a lot of rights, you have a fundamental rights, you have a lot of dignity, lot of things are there, but at the same time do also think about that how the rights can be prevailed, how this thing will prevail. I feel that if you understand all this nitty-gritty, if you know all these points, then definitely it would have a better understanding, a better kinds of thing. And I think that please try to understand about the rights, and if you understand the rights, then definitely you would have a lot of understanding. Okay, this is what you have to understand. So rights are something like that. Okay, how rights are to be exercised. This is what equally available to all the people. Content of the rights keeps on changing with the passage. Rights are not, absolute. Rights are inseparably related to the duties. This is the no duties, no rights. I have already discussed. Now I have to say that rights need enforcement, and only then this can be really used by the people. They are protected and enforced by the laws of the state. It is the duty of a state to protect the rights of the people. Now here is a debate that how rights can be enforced. Suppose, as I have given an example, that if anyone's rights are encroached, then what he would do? He would definitely go to the police station to lodge a complaint, and then it is the court to decide that whether the claimant has a justified reason to be protected, or it is unjustified reason, or it is sheer or mere only allegation, or it is malified intention, or it is something else. So there is a role of state machinery, I mean the state administration and police, but at the same time, the court has to also decide the merits and demerits of the case, merits and demerits of the issue. So this is what, and this is how the rights of an individual can be decided. So if it is there, then definitely I can understand you. You will have a better understanding. Definitely you would have understand all the things. Point is very simple that anyone, whether you and me or other, anyone should have understand all these points, and only then rights can be protected. So please try to understand all the nitty-gritty that everything is possible in society, and I hope that if you understand all these things, because it can be rights are used by the people, but a state has to protect the right of the individual or the society or of a group. This is the thing. Okay, this is the thing that we have to also understand. Next, I am sharing the theories of the right. What are the theories of rights? There are compelling theories of rights offered by several theorists. Utilitarianism. For the utilitarianism, the just, action. The just action is there. What is the just action? Relative to all other possible actions, maximizes utility of the good. Defining, the good is the subject of philosophical conjecture and the beyond our scope here. This is the utility principle. Utilitarianism is solely consequential. The justice or injustice of an action or a state of affairs is determined exclusively by the consequences it brings about. If an action maximizes utility, it is just. So what does it mean? That compelling theory of the rights offered by the several theorists. What is it? This is what you have to also understand. If you understand all these things, it will definitely help you. Because utilitarianism, they are saying that relative to all other possible actions, this has to be done. Precisely, you have to also understand that what maximize the utility of the good, how the philosophical conjunctions are, and beyond our scope here. There, this is the utility principle. Utilitarianism is solely that the justice or injustice of an action or the state of affairs is to determine exclusively by the consequences it brings about. If an action maximizes utility, it is just. So I think please try to understand all these points, and I hope that if you understand all these points, it will definitely help things. So please make sure that okay, it is the thing that you have to develop. Next, on the account, therefore, rights are purely instrumental. It is also worth nothing that many in the utilitarian tradition have expressed hostility to the notion of the rights of any sort. Utilitarian will honor a right if only if it will lead to the maximization of utility. This statement also indicates limits of the right. If the exercise of a particular will not maximize utility, the utilitarian is also obliged to violate that personal rights for the sake of utility. Point at which the letter of the rights defeats purpose, that is the point at which the exercise of a particular right will not maximize utility, the point at which society may just curtail that right. These are the things that you have to know about the right. Every point is very important if you try to understand all these things in very nitty-gritty way. And I hope that if you understand all these things, then definitely it will help you. Okay. Now, rights are limited by the utility principle. If the exercise of a right maximizes the good, right ought to hold. If it fails to do so, the right may be justly abridged. Challengers of the utilitarian accounts of the rights are argue that in some cases it extends rights too far and in other cases it restricts the rights unjustly. Confucianism, denotologies. What is this? Kant proposes that the essence of morality is captured by what has been called the categorical imperative. In below paraphrases, this reads, act only those rules of action that you could be universal laws. It means what? That you have to follow only those rules. What are the universal rules? This is what you have to also mention. So I hope that if you understand all these points, then definitely you would have a better understanding and definitely can do things in a proper way. Okay. Now I am going to discuss next. The categorical imperative is a rule of testing rules of the conduct. It will also exclude as immoral any rule of the conduct that implies the one person may do something but another in relevantly similar circumstances may not. In other words, man's consistency. What's all right for me, all right for you, if our relevant circumstances are similar. If I may throw my toxic waste into the river to save money for myself, then you may do so likewise. But of course, I would not want you to do that, so it would be wrong for me. This is relevant to human rights because we think of human rights as universally applicable to human beings. Kant says that what is morally permissible applies to all rational beings. Now the point is that, dear student, what you have to understand that what I am saying you that it is sometimes it is possible that within the same circumstances to have our common interest and we can accept whatever the wrong things we are doing we cannot bother because that are indirectly directly related to our interest, the common interest. But what happened that if that is not applied by interest, then definitely I would not like to have the same behavior, the same culture from him. So I think that we have to understand everything in a very rightful manner. This is the very important. And what Kant says that the human rights are universal and that is applicable to all human beings. Maybe it is Kant, maybe other parts and all. It is universal. You cannot say that this is not the universal. I have to make you assure that please try to understand all this nitty gritty and I hope that if you understand all these things you would have a better position, you would have better links and you would have a better understanding. Okay dear students, right. Okay, now I am going to discuss about Kantianism is an explicitly non-consequential ethnic. Kant believed that the consequences of our actions are often determined by the contextual factors beyond the control of the individual. Honor and blame are only coherent concepts where the subject is responsible for what they have done. In all appeals to consequences, the locus of responsibility must necessarily be displaced to a broad array of factors, only one part of which is the agency of the individual in question. More responsibility for consequences, therefore, is incoherent. Ethics must be a matter of intentions, this being the only things we can evaluate without extending influence. The right actions, therefore, is that which is done in conformity with our moral duty, regardless of consequence. These are the things that you have to also understand, and I hope that if you understand all these things, it will really very amazing to understand that what Kant believed, what the explanation he has given. These are the important points that you have to know all time again. Okay. Now, Lasky's theory of right. What Harold Lasky says. Harold Lasky was an influential figure and creative writer of political science, who authored about 20 books, has expounded the theory of rights and it is many aspects in a classical representative. He described rights as those conditions of social life without which no man can seek, in general, to be himself at his best. Lasky calls rights as conditions of social life. Rights are social concept and deeply linked with social life. Essentiality of rights is the established by the fact that the individuals claim them for the development of their best self. What what you have to understand? I can make you sure that you should understand all these things in a very perfect manner, in a perfect way, so that you can understand all this. Like Lasky theory of rights, what Harold Lasky says, what Lasky says in all these respects. Harold Lasky had written also one book. So whenever you read, you should read in a very perfect and rightful manner, because I think that if you read all these things in a very perfect and rightful manner, everything is a very perfect manner. Please try to understand. Lasky, Harold Lasky was a very great scholar. He had advocate a lot of things. He was a very sharp-minded person, and he also written at least 20 books. This is what the contribution he had given to the political science. You should also understand these all kinds of things what Harold Lasky has said. Okay. Now he also places rights, individuals, and a state on the same board, in the same sense that they cannot be separated from each other. There is no antagonism between them. Lasky recommends the long cherished view that the state has a very important role to play in the realization and before that recognition of human rights. On the legal theorist of rights, Lasky examines the legal theory of a state. The central principle of the legal theory of rights is that they completely depend upon the institutions and recognition of the state. An individual cannot claim rights if those are not recognized by the state. Mere recognition, moreover, is not sufficient for the exercise of the rights. The state must, through law and institutions, implement the rights. These are the things that everyone has to understand, and I hope that if you understand all these things, you have a better understanding. And I hope this is the right way to learn about rights. Okay, what Barker's theory of the right, because it is also one of the aspects of the right. What Barker says, what Barker's view. Barker's view is not theoretically dissimilar from that of Lasky. Barker's view is not that much dissimilar from that of Lasky view. Both are liberal philosophers, but Barker has a clear bias to idealism. Main purpose of every political organization called a state is to see that the personality of the individual gets ample scope for the development. It is the duty of the state to guarantee and secure the conditions essential for the objective. These secured and guaranteed conditions are called the rights. Individual's personality cannot develop automatically or under most adverse or antagonistic environment. Development of personality requires favorable conditions, and these are to be guaranteed by the state through the enactment of law. This is what the basic point is, that how Barker's view is not theoretically that much similar, and how Barker has a clear bias to the idealism. These are the things that you have to also understand, and if you understand all things, will definitely help you. And please try to understand that why Barker's theory and how Lasky's have different kinds of view, how these views are very differently, how these things are very important. And I hope that if you understand these things, it will definitely help you. So please try to understand these things, and I hope that if you understand all these things in a very nitty-gritty way, definitely you would have a better understanding. Next, types of right. This is also very important chapter that you have to also understand. The first point is that natural rights. What is natural rights? Many researchers have faith in the natural rights. They stated that the people inherit several rights from the nature. Before they came to live in the society and state, they used to live in a state of nature. Also, as it is said, the natural life. Okay, the society have come to into existence, and a lot of state policies and everything was there. But first of all, before the society, it was the people who came into the existence, and it is the people who started thinking of the making a state and all. So what all these researchers have faith in the natural rights. They stated that the people have certain rights from the nature, and over a period when it evolved, this nature's these rights have been a kinds of given name, that okay, this is your right, this is the wrong, and over a period it has been established so far. So they used to live in a state of nature. In it, they appreciated certain natural rights like the right to life, right to liberty, right to property. Natural rights are parts of human nature and religion. This is also very important, that these are the natural rights. You cannot deny a person. So I think that if you are going to deny a person, then what will happen? Then the chaos will happen in the society. Once the chaos will happen, that what will happen? The society will be disrupted. The state is not going to be maintain its law and order. So it is going to be very harmful. So please try to understand all these things, and I hope that if you understand every kinds of this debates, talks, and the aspects of this thing, then definitely it would have a better understanding. Okay, so I think you have to understand that how political theory maintains that the individual enters in the society the certain rights, and how like the right to life, right to liberty, right to property, and all these things are very important. Okay, right. Okay, now I am going to discuss in the classical political philosophy, natural rights denotes to the objective rightness of the right, these things, whether the virtue of a soul, the correctness of an action, or the excellence of a regime. Aristotle stated in Politics that no one would call a man happy who was completely lacking in courage, temperance, justice, wisdom. What Aristotle stated in his Politics book, that no one would call a man happy, that man was completely lacking in courage, temperance, justice, or wisdom. Man who was easily terrified, unable to restrain any impulse towards food or drink, willing to ruin his friends for a terrified, generally senseless, could not possibly lead a good life. Even though chance may occasionally prevent good actions from having their normal consequences, so that sometimes cowards fare better than brave men. Courage is still objectivity better than a cowardice. The virtues and actions that contribute to the good life and the activities intrinsic to the good life are naturally right. So, what Aristotle said in his Politics, because he has written a book, The Politics, which politics he has written, that a man should have a courage and he should have a justice or wisdom kinds of thing. So these are the things that I think you have to know. Chapter, it will definitely solve your understanding. Now the moral rights. What are the moral rights? The moral rights are based on human consciousness. They are supposed by moral force of the human mind. These are based on the human sense of goodness and justice. These are not assisted by the force of law, sense of goodness and public opinion are the sanctions behind moral rights. If any person disrupts any moral right, no legal action can be taken against him. The state does not enforce these rights. It courts to do not recognize these rights. Moral rights include rules of good conduct, courtesy, and moral behavior. This stands for moral perfection of the people. Moral rights, something like that, it is based on human consciousness. They are supported by the moral force of humankind. And if it is best, then Godness has sense of goodness, justice. These are also assisted by the force of law. If any person or any kinds of moral rights is there, no action will be taken against him. So this is what we have to also understand about the moral right. Okay, dear students, right. Moral rights were first acknowledged in France and Germany. So moral rights were first acknowledged in France and Germany before they were included in Berne Conventions of the Protection of Literacy and Aesthetic Works in the 1982. Canada recognized moral rights in its Copyright Act. United States became a signatory to the convention 1989 and conferred a version of moral rights under its Copyright Act, Title 17 of the US Code. There are two major moral rights under the US Copyright Act. These are the right of attributions, or called the right of paternity, and the right of integrity. This is also very important. So this is how you have to describe all these questions in a very perfect and lucid manner. So primarily and precisely, you should understand all these topics in a very convenient manner so that you can understand all these things in a rightful manner. Okay, dear students? Right, okay. Next, legal rights. What are the legal rights that we have to also discuss? Legal rights are those rights which are accepted and enforced by the state. Any defilement of any legal right is punished by law. Law courts of the state enforce legal rights. These rights can be enforced against, uh, you know, these rights can be against also the government. In this way, I think legal rights are different from moral rights. Legal rights are equally available to all of its citizens. All citizens follow legal rights without any description. They can go to the courts for getting their legal rights enforced. So the legal rights are very simple. It is given by the state and enforced by the state. I think you have to understand also about the legal rights. Legal rights also having the three types like the civil war, political wars. These are the things that you have to also understand, that civil rights are those rights which provide to each person lead a civilized social life. These fulfill basic amenity of human society: right to life, right to liberty, right to equality, and these are the things that we have to also study. What are the political rights? Once again, if I go by like the civil rights and the property rights and the political rights, so what are the things that, okay, what is the civil rights? The civil rights are those rights which provide opportunity each person to lead a civil service rights life. This fulfill basic needs of human life in the society. This is what we have to. Then what is political rights? Political rights are those rights by virtue of which inhabitants get a share in the political process. These allow them to take an active part in the political system. These rights include right to vote, right to get selected, right to hold, right to hold. Suppose you are doing these works in some period, then definitely you have a basic understanding. Economic rights are there. Economic rights are those bringing which provide economic security to the people. This is what we have to also understand. So economic rights are those rights which provide economic security to the people. These empower all citizens make proper use of their civil and political rights. The basic needs of every person are related to his food, clothing, shelter, and medical treatment. These are the basic things. Without the fulfillment of these, no person can really enjoy his civil and political life. It is therefore essential that every person must get the right to work, right to adequate wages, right to leisure and the rest, and right to social security in case of illness, physical disability, and old age. This is very important, that right to social security in case of illness, physical or disability. But abhi to ye hai, what you have to also understand. Okay, now these all things are very much important. Human and legal rights. What is human and legal rights? There is some differences between moral and human rights and legal rights. Legal rights require for their justifications in the existing system of law. Legal rights are roughly what the law says. They are at least insofar as the law is enforced. Legal rights gain their force first of all, you know, first of all through legislation or decree by a legally authorized authority. Those who support adoptions of the laws establishing legal rights often are there, and you know laws against that might appeal to the notions of a moral right to speak. These are the things that we have to also understand. Contextual rights. What are the contextual rights? Contextual rights are those rights which are contextual rights originated from the practice of promise keeping. They apply to particular individuals to whom contextual promises have been made. Contextual rights ascended from specific acts of the contact making. They normally come into being when the contact is made, and they reflect the contractual duty sub. This is what you have to understand, and that another party has acquired at the same amount as a result of contact. Party A has contact, so to deliver some goods or services to the party B who has a contextual right to the good or service. Contextual rights may be upheld by the law and in the sense can rest upon legal rights. But it is possible to conceive of contacts made outside of a legal framework and to rest purely upon moral principle. I can assure you that if you understand all these things, you will have a better understanding. Now, however, such contacts are less secure than contacts made with a legal framework, but for me, obvious reasons, there are numerous examples of contextual rights such as right to purchase of a particular product or service, right to be sell a product or service, rights to be the only seller or buyer. What you have to also understand various rights, and according to the specific intention of the each party, it has to be also fulfilled. I think that these contextual rights you have to also understand. Concept of human rights. Human rights are those moral rights that are morally important and basic, and that are very very important, that how the human rights are important, how the moral rights are important, how human rights are one of the significant aspects of the human political reality. It is the moral rights of the highest order. Human rights are also evolved out of the self respect. These are the things that you have to also understand. So if you understand, then definitely you will have a better position. Okay, now I have to say it is also received that new human beings begin to think themselves. Each and every human beings are entitled to these rights without any description. Human rights comprises of civil and political rights such as the right of the. This is what we have to understand. And human rights are protected and supported by the spelled out the basic civil, political, economic relation. This is very this is what we have to understand. I think that please try to understand all these things, and please try to understand and write the thing. Your answer will be very perfect. And I hope that if you are perfectly right, definitely in the political science, you would be in the better position. Next, about the under human rights treaties. Government have the prime responsibility for the pros, selling, and everything is out there to promote human rights. Our governments are not solely responsible for ensuring human rights. Uh, the UNHCR, every individual and every organ of the society. Yes, please tell me. So definitely every individual and every organ of the society shall strive by teaching and education to promote respect for these rights, freedom by progressive measures, national and international, to secure their universal and effective recognition and observance. To what you have to also understand in theoretical view, all these things. First, according to Subhas's Kabya, human rights are those fundamental rights to which every man inhabiting any part of the world should be deemed entitled by virtue having been born a human being. This is what the things the people have said. Section of Human Rights Act. Also, you have to understand UNO Declaration. You have to understand what UNO had declared, what origin of the rights. Magna Carta I have described, and how the Magna Carta, French Revolution, Constitution, Bill of Rights, all these things I have described. Arbitrary also very important. All these things are very important that you have to study the human rights, how these duties are very and all these things are the characteristics of the human rights is all human rights and very important is what we have to also understand. Next, all these things are very, very important to know. Okay, so in this next class, I will be discussing rights, meaning theories, different kinds of rights, concepts of the human rights. This is the very important topic that I will be discussing. Okay, dear students, right? Okay, my code is RJ01. Please apply RJ01 for the 10% discount. My Telegram link is Discourse Academy Rakesh Jha. You can also come for the Telegram link. You can share your problems. Okay, if you have any doubt, any queries, anything out there, you can also discuss with me. And I hope that if you have any kinds of problems, you will definitely have kind of understanding from my side. And I hope that if you understand all these things, then definitely I will be helping all of you. And besides, everything is out there that you have to also understand that political science is optional. That is very beautiful. All the respect and all the sense. Most of the time, what happens, the students do not take it as a serious note. They think that okay, it's a subject that I can do very hurriedly, but it is not, because every words matter. If you look at the things that how the in theoretical view, many theorists explain their views about human rights. As Kim constructed that human rights are claims that demands essential to the protection of human life and enhancement of human dignity, and should therefore enjoy full social political sanctions. These are the things that you have to also understand. According to Nickel, what Nickel says, that the human rights are norms which are definite, high priority, universal and existing, and valid independently of the recognition or the implementation, the customs of the legal system of particular country. What you have to also understand. So I hope that if you understand all these points, then definitely everything is out there. Okay. Now, point is that what exactly, suppose if you go for the Protection of Human Rights Act 1990, what 1993 describes the human rights means the rights relating to the life, liberty, equality, and dignity of the individuals, guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international conventions and enforcement by the courts of the. This is what you have to also understand. I can sure very important that the whether it is issues or whether it is India, because everything is written, everything is out there. Have to understand all these things in a very perfect manner. Now, what the United Nations says, United Nations Center for Human Rights defines the human rights, those rights which are inherent in our nature. without which we cannot live as human beings. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted on 1948, states human rights as a rights derived from the inherent dignity of human person. It is also very important. Also very important you have to understand. So I hope that everything is possible, anything is possible if you understand all these things in a perfect and very rightful manner. So suppose historical origin of the human rights is also very important to know how the human rights had occurred. Records indicates that though modern historians trace Magna Carta of 1521 as the historical beginning of the human rights. It's also very important that how Magna Carta of 1521 as the historical beginning of human rights. But its real origin goes back to 539 BC when Cyrus, the great king of ancient Persia, conquered the city of Babylon. He freed all slaves, returned home, and declared people to choose their own religion and even maintain racial equality. The idea of human rights quickly spread from Babylon, many nations, especially India, Greece, and eventually Rome, where the where ideas of human rights quickly spread from the Babylon, and it is also very important. And the idea like the Greece and eventually Rome, where the concept of natural law arose in the observation of the fact that the people tended to follow certain unwritten laws due course of life. There are concepts of natural law arose in the observation of the fact that people tended to follow certain laws in the course of life. Roman law was based on rational ideas derived from the nature of the things. This is also very important to know. It is also very interesting to know. Because if you know all these things, then definitely help you in understanding all these important points. Next, I am going to say like the documents. What are the documents asserting individual rights such as Magna Carta? It is also because you student you must remember that Magna Carta, the Petition of Right, U.S. Constitution, French Declaration of the Rights, Men and of Citizens. That also you have to understand the U.S. Bill of Rights. These are the things that the human rights are there. Now arbitrary arrest and the imprisonment of opposing policies had produced in the parliament violent hostility. The Charles and George Villiers, Duke of Buckingham Petition of Right, introduced by Sir Edward Coke, was based upon earlier status. No taxes may be levied without the consent of Parliament. No subject may be imprisoned without cause shown. Reaffirmations of the right of the habeas corpus is also very important. No soldiers may be quartered upon the citizenry. Martial law may not be used in time of peace. So this is also about the habeas corpus purpose. This is what you have to also understand. I feel that if you understand all these things, then you would have better understanding, then you have better feeling, and you have better graphs. Right? One more important thing that you have to know that in 1789 the people of France brought about the abolishment of the absolute kingdom and set the stage of the establishment of the first French Republic. Sometime later, the storming of the Bastille and the barely 3 weeks after the abolition of feudalism, the Declaration of the Rights of Man of the Citizen was espoused by the National Constituent Assembly as the first step towards writing a constitution of the Republic of France. The declaration decrees that all inhabitants are to be guaranteed rights of the liberty, property, security, and assistance to operations. It also discusses that the need for law derived from the fact that exercise of the natural rights of each man has only those borders which assure other members of the society the enjoyment of these same rights. Therefore, the Declaration sees law as an expression of the general will, intended to promote this equality of the rights and not to forbid only actions harmful to society. I think that if you understand all these things, everything is out there and everything is possible if you read all these things in a very proper and rightful manner. This is the human rights, the basic right and freedom for all the human. It includes the right to life, liberty, freedom and thought, expression and equality before the law. It is unified, interdependent and indivisible, and rights exist to duties in three ways. First one is individual duties, second was institutional duties of assistance, third one is that duties of assistance. These are the things that everyone has promised, but you have to also understand. I hope that if you understand all these things, definitely have a better understanding of all the things. Please try to understand the human rights in the whole, and you will have a better understanding, a better way. So just read these things in a proper way, and I hope you definitely enjoy this.